Hello, I am Laura O'Leary, and today I'm going to demonstrate an e-learning module that I created in Articulate Rise 360 for my Design and Development in Digital Media graduate class at JMU. I titled the e-learning module Perspective for Beginners, exploring the concept of perspective in photography. I organized the e-learning module into 5 main sections that includes an introduction, 3 main lesson sections, and a quiz and conclusion at the end of the module. Overall, including the quiz, there are 8 lessons for the learner to progress through to learn about perspective in photography. In the introduction, I identify the goals and objectives of the course as well as the target audience that the course is designed for. I include 3 images of a butterfly that I photographed to show examples of different perspectives of the same subject, so the learner has some visuals on what can be accomplished after the completion of the course when the knowledge gained is applied. I cite my resources at the bottom of the page. We then go to the main body of the course where there are 3 main lessons organized into 5 lesson blocks. We start with lesson 1 with defining perspective in photography. I include the definition of perspective and cite the source, and then include before and after pictures of a butterfly as the concept of perspective is applied out in the field. I introduce the concept of changing the perspective as an advantage when photographing to set up for the transition in lesson 2. I then include a famous Ansel Adams quote that applies to this lesson. I cite my sources at the bottom of the page. In lesson 2, I cover 3 main aspects of changing perspective when creating a photograph. I separate the lesson into 3 individual lessons or subsections, one for each aspect covered. The first aspect covered is angle. I identify the definition of angle as it applies to photography and then cite my source. I include several flip cards that the learner can flip to see before and after images when applying the aspect of changing the angle to change perspective. I give additional tips when applying this concept out in the field. I then include a knowledge check for the learner and cite my sources at the bottom of the page. We move on to the next lesson where I cover a second aspect of distance. I identify the definition of distance as it applies to photography and then cite my source. I include a YouTube video from Clifford Pickett of Capture It All that covers how to change the distance to change perspective and how it is applied out in the field. I cite all my sources at the bottom of the page, and I include a knowledge check for the learner. We move on to the next lesson where I cover the third aspect, direction. I identify the definition of direction as it applies to photography and then cite my source. For this lesson, I added a carousel of before and after images with captions at the bottom of each image so the learner can progress through the lesson with visuals supporting the concept. I added a quick knowledge check and cite all my sources at the bottom of the page. In lesson 3, I cover questions to ask yourself when considering perspective. I suggest 4 main questions or considerations for the learner to ask him or herself when contemplating how to create an image with respect to changing perspective. We then move on to the quiz. I included 5 questions to quiz the learner on the content covered in the lessons. The learner needs to score an 80% or better for the learner to be able to progress to the conclusion of the module. I have also added responses to coordinate with correct and incorrect answers, so the learner has a hint of which sections they may need to review before continuing the module. Once a passing score is achieved, Then we have the option of going to the congratulations and conclusion section. In this section, I thank the learner for taking the course. I also added another picture of a butterfly to show yet another perspective achieved when applying the concept out in the field. I also included a button at the bottom of the screen for the learner to start the course over again if they so choose. I am Laura O'Leary. Thank you for viewing this demonstration of the e-learning module I created. Please be sure to check out some of the other projects I created in my ePortfolio. Hope you have a great day.